Hey, Shalawam, Shalawam. Shalawam up. Moderator, bro. Alright, let's share live real quick. All right, let's get into it. Hey, facing the east, all praises be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well, and sincerity taught us his truth. Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect, 144,000 men, as well as 1/3 men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. It's your brother Yerami Kazak, back with hopefully another edifying lesson through the spirit, power, and strength of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. The true names of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yahawah equals He is, He exists. That's the name of the Father. Yahawashi equals He saves, He delivers, He is salvation. That's the name of the Son. And Rakakadash equals the Spirit that's holy. Okay, a Spirit that's holy, a set apart Spirit. So that's the name of the Holy Spirit. All right, put it all together. It's Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakadash. All right, and we come in those names according to Matthew 28:19 to baptize our fellow brothers and sisters, okay, speaking those correct names, which is the Lashawan Kadash, the Paleo Hebrew, right? And, we don't speak any false names that have been given to us by the colonizers, such as names such as Jesus, Yahweh, Yeshua, Yahusha, any of those type of names, Jehovah, all right? We steer clear of those names because those names have no power in them. All right, now, I'm going to give brothers about a minute or two to get up in here because I have a nice little lesson prepared and I got some visuals, which I definitely want, majority of brothers to hear who, more people than 3 people. So I'm going to give about 2 minutes, to see if we can get some more people up in here. And then we'll go into this lesson. All right. And this lesson will be upon the flood, the great flood. And we're going to break down certain timelines and, taking away myths and stuff of that nature that the YT man has spread upon our nation, and upon this world. All right. So I'll give about 2 more minutes, man. Let brothers and sisters get up in here. All right. Yeah, you'll be back after scrolling, okay? Okay, you might miss something. It's the place to be. And Shomer, it's actually Shalom or Shalawam, brother. All right, it's no O, no E, no U, no V in the Hebrew. Okay, the Shalom was actually given to us by a certain individual named Eliezer ben Yehuda. Okay, he added an O to our Hebrew, to our language. And I'll show you that right now. This individual, all right, he brought Shalom, he brought Yehuda, he brought Yahusha, Yahweh, Yeshua. He brought these names, all right? I am wisdom. You say, why is God so evil? Okay, he's not evil. but he allows evil to take place because he is a balanced power. All right, let's go to Isaiah, the 45th chapter, and read something which you may have never read, and simply if you read the Bible, it will all make sense. We can't sit back and just assume things if we never actually examine the scriptures. So this is Isaiah 45:5. I am Yahawah, and there is none else. There is no power beside me. I girdle thee, though thou hast not known me, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am Yahawah, and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahawah, do all these things. Okay? At the end of the day. Okay? So he allows evil to be done, but he is not evil in the sense that you think. Okay? At the end of the day. Okay? Because you're stating that he's evil like he doesn't do good. So once again, he's a balanced power. He does both things. You have a left-handed side and a right-handed side. No, not more evil than good. Once again, I said he's balanced. All right? But hey, if you don't agree, you can keep scrolling like you said you was going to do. Okay. Different Iron Man, once again, his name is not Yahuwah. It's no U in the Hebrew. And it's good that we getting this stuff out in the beginning, so this won't be an issue in the lesson. All right. His name is Yahawah, and the son's name is Yahawashi. Now, once again, as we read the scripture, he forms the light and creates darkness. He makes peace and creates evil. He does all these things. Let's get a precept. This is Proverbs 11:1. A false balance is abomination to Yahawah, but a just weight to his delight. He is a balanced power. If you did not know wickedness, then righteousness would not be so good. If you did not know darkness, then light would not be so good. All right? I did answer your question with the scripture. He's a balanced power. That is the answer to your question. Okay? You may have not liked the answer, but that is the answer. Sirach 18, 1-3. He that liveth forever hath created all things in general. Yahawah only is righteous, and there is none other but he, who governeth the world with the palm of his hand. In all things obey his will, for he is the king of all by his power, dividing holy things among them from profane. Okay, so if an evil spirit comes down, jumps on you, has you calling on the name of Yahuwah, you understand? That Yahawah has ordained that. He's allowed it to be. Because of your incredulity, because of your unbelief, because of your ways, you have not committed your thoughts to serve him, right? Let's go to Proverbs 16. Starting at the top. The preparations of the heart in man and the answer of the tongue is from Yahawah. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahawah weigheth the saints, the spirits, Salakia. Commit thy works unto Yahawah, and thy thoughts shall be established. Yahawah hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked, for the day of evil. Right? So you have, like I said, left-handed side, right-handed side. You have a righteous people and a wicked people. You have a good and an evil. All these things are made. So you can't look at the Heavenly Father and say he has to be one certain way. No, he does not have to be one certain way. All right? He does all his pleasure. And we are bringing out precepts to prove it to you. This is Romans 9:20. Nay, but, O man, who art thou that replieth against power? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus? Right? So you really can't speak to the Most High, man, with your own ways, thinking that he's supposed to be how you want him to be. You have nothing to say to the Most High. All right? All right, so we got any more type of questions? All right, guess not. So let's get into it, man. All right. So this lesson will be on the Great Flood and making sure the volume up. All right, we good. It should be loud enough. Let's go. So I'm going to just start it right here. Fair use, fair use.
The Bible tells us that God looked upon his creation, and behold, it was all correct. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Judgment day had finally come.
Now, what do you see right there on the screen? Okay, comment board, what is that right there on the screen? Because this is actually a proper visual depiction of those times. Okay? Yeah, a dinosaur. I believe that's a raptor. Right? So you would have those type of creatures dwelling with mankind at that point in time. Okay? So them telling you that dinosaurs dwelt millions and millions of years, that's incorrect. As this video is going to break down to you, man. And we're going to hit the scriptures to show you that, hey, they dwelt around us, you know. And they were actually good. They were created to be, in a sense, good. Okay? Everything that the Most High created had a certain balance to it. All right? So let's go to Genesis, the 6th chapter real quick to go into why the flood came to be. This is Genesis 6:1. And it came to pass, as you can see, the corruption of mankind. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Now these are the sons of men, okay? That the sons of power, these are the sons of Seth, or that's coming from Adam, that's coming from Seth, the sons of God, all right? The sons of power saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahawah said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There was giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of power came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. All right, so it's not talking about no mile-high giants. It's not talking about, 2 miles in the sky, nothing like that. It's simply talking about men of renown, men of great stature, men of status. All right, and these are indeed, today they would be Israelites. Okay, men of renown. And power saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. And it repented Yahawah that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahawah said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahawah. All right, this would be a chosen lineage through the sons of God. Noah found grace. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation, and Noah walked with power, meaning that he kept the law, which was verbal at that point in time. So he kept it, all right? And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before power, and the earth was filled with violence. And power looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Now, what do you see right now? You see a similar instance going on, man. And you see a certain group of individuals that are just and perfect, which is the hopeful elect, the remnant, those that still serve Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi in these times. All right, let's go to Luke 17 and 26, because this is a certain prophecy, man. And as it was in the days of, that would be Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. So these things have to, happen once again. As it was in the days of Noah, extreme evilness, extreme corruption, violence, in a sense of anarchy, chaos, all this type of stuff taking place. So therefore, you will have another great death, which is known as the second death, come to pass. All right, and this is what you see on the screen. So this is how we got to that point, because of all the corruption, all of the wickedness, and all of humanity except Noah and his household rejecting Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Right? They were the only ones that were found faithful in that time period. That's what the elect is. That's what the remnant is. They will be the only ones found faithful in that time period. But understanding this, everybody will not be destroyed, because you will have some that remain after the ICBM missiles come, because this time it's by fire. Last time it was by water. This time it's by fire. So you will have some that remain that don't get hit with nukes, etc., and they will all immediately go into slavery. Okay? They will immediately go into servitude under the rulers, the chosen of the nation of Israel, that will come back down upon this planet, and rule and set up an everlasting kingdom which will never fall. So mankind will never fall again in the state of a first death or a second death. It will be no more deaths. According to 1 Corinthians 15 and 54, death will be swallowed up. All right, and that's pertaining to our nation, to the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Death will be swallowed up. We will never have to go through these type of situations again, man. All right, so let's let it go. Pretty much just go through this for a time period. It's a good little visual, but I want to get to the next part.
We're all familiar with the theory about Pangea, which holds that the continents were once connected to form a supercontinent that later broke apart through a process called plate tectonics. Catastrophic plate tectonics is essentially the same idea as conventional plate tectonics, except that the timeline and events are all centered around the year of the flood instead of millions of years of slow processes. You may be surprised to learn that it was a man named Abraham Ortelius, a famous cartographer from the 1500s, who first proposed the idea that the flood of Noah may have been responsible for tearing apart the Americas from Europe and Africa. Hundreds of years later, another Christian by the name of Antonio Snyder Pellegrini would first theorize the modern concept of continental drift, in which he illustrated two maps depicting the continents of the world as once joined together. This was decades before German geologist Alfred Wegener would propose his own version of the theory known today as Pangea and be erroneously dubbed the father of continental drift. Antonio was snubbed of this honorary title. His crime was citing the book of Genesis.
Boom. Because when you're entering something into Edomite's history, you cannot use the Bible, man. Okay? Or it will be rejected. Because what does their science do, which is nothing more than pseudoscience? It rejects the creation story. And it gives you 18 million years ago, 20 million years ago, 10 billion years ago. It gives you all this type of hogwash, BS. Okay, so when you bring it to the scriptures and you bring out that, hey, the flood talks about the great deep opening up and, you know, waters coming up, lava and stuff of that nature coming up, and earthquakes and stuff of that nature was happening. This is what he was bringing, a catastrophic continental drift where Pangea, the earth was split and separated. All right. Now let's go to Genesis, the 7th chapter. Verse 10. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day, were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now, what he's about to show you in this video is geological evidence of the fountains of the great deep, which is in the Atlantic Ocean. All right. Now, around that area, and I'm about to let it play, around that area, they will tell you that this ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, is far younger than the Pacific Ocean. All right. Now, how would that happen? Because it's a new ocean, man. It's new. It was created during that time period. It did not exist beforehand. This stuff came later on due to the continents drifting apart. All right. So let's get it going.
In which he said he made the discovery that at the beginning of creation, there was only one continent. You see, the book of Genesis laid out exactly what happened to the earth in the past during the flood, starting with what the Bible calls the fountains of the great deep opening. It wouldn't be until the 1950s that technology initially developed to detect submarines underwater would stumble across these gigantic scars from the fountains of the great deep that had split open, exactly as the Bible had described. How did a book, thousands of years old, know exactly what was at the bottom of the ocean floor? The Bible says that first, these giant subterranean rifts broke open, piercing the earth's crust, spewing magma that created steam jets that shot up into the sky. Then the book of Genesis says that the waters poured down as torrential rain through the windows of heaven that were opened up, and that the rain lasted 40 days and 40 nights. The supercontinent that the book of Genesis described is now beginning to break apart. At first, the newly partitioned continents oscillate, slamming into each other before starting their ultimate journey of separation. This closes seaways and forms volcanoes and mountains in the Americas and Europe, such as the Appalachian and Caledonian ranges. The seafloor spreads, forming from molten magma, widening the separation between the new continents. Scientists will later discover that the seafloor at the mid-Atlantic ridge is much younger than the seafloor in other parts of the world.
Boom. If you heard that. The seafloor at the mid-Atlantic ridge is much younger than other seafloors in other parts of the world. But letting you know that this was created. Let's run that back a little bit more. Let's go back.
Break apart. At first, the newly partitioned continents oscillate, slamming into each other before starting their ultimate journey of separation. This closes seaways and forms volcanoes and mountains in the Americas and Europe, such as the Appalachian and Caledonian ranges. The seafloor spreads, forming from molten magma, widening the separation between the new continents. Scientists will later discover that the seafloor at the mid-Atlantic ridge is much younger than the seafloor in other parts of the world.
Boom. And as you can see, we did puzzles as kids. You can obviously see how South America would, connect to Africa. All right. And other land masses would do the exact same thing. They would all just easily snap into one another if they were beside each other. Letting you know that once before, at one point in time, these continents were all joined together as one great landmass. Now, we know that this earth is only about 12,000, 13,000 years old. It's not no millions and millions of years old. It's not no billions and billions of years old. You keep following that pseudoscience, you can't follow the Bible. Okay? You have to follow the scriptures. Right? So, matter of fact, let's go to, let's get a precept in the book of Esdras. This is 2nd Esdras 14 and 11. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. Each of those parts would be 1,000 years. Okay? And there remaineth that which is after half of the 10th part. Now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Now Yahawashi came around that 10th and a half part. Okay? So with that understanding, you can't go with this billions and millions of years old, philosophy, man, or idolatry, or whatever you want to call it, all right? The way of thinking. No, it's incorrect. This is what they fed to us as kids, but it's not feasible. It's not plausible. The only thing that really makes sense is during the flood, you had massive amounts of earthquakes. You had volcanoes erupting. You had all this type of stuff going on, all right, due to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi doing what he did, and he separated and divided the earth, as the brother put earlier, Genesis 10 and 25. You know what I'm saying? So the earth was, in a sense, divided, all right, as you can see. Now, what would be a reason to divide the earth? Because beforehand, what was men doing? Genesis, the 6th chapter. What was they doing? And power saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart were only evil continually. That's due to us being in this flesh. So the Most High, knowing all things, he already knew, because the scriptures was already written. We would get back to this point again, where we're extremely wicked. By dividing and separating us, it would prolong that. But we would eventually get to it. A man's nature is to be wicked if you don't have the structure and the order of the scriptures. You look at yourself and you be like, no, that's not true. Yeah, you are. You're naturally going to be wicked, man. If you align with what Esau has set up for you. But if you align with the laws, commandments, and statutes, which is a set way to live, then you can cleave unto righteousness. Our righteousness is in the law. It's in Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. It's in the book. It's in the words. So you have to click. Exactly. So Jeremiah 17:9. Perfect. Let's get it. So naturally, you're going to, because a child. What does scripture say about a child? Don't leave a child to gad abroad. Don't leave a child to just do whatever they want, because they going to get in some mischief. Like a 2-year-old. You getting into all this stuff that you aren't supposed to get into. That's you without any guidance and structure. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Right. Let me take that over to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter. And what's that? 76. And the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith Yahawah power. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So he is a guide to you. He's guiding you. He's correcting you. Okay? 75. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for power is your guide. For power is your guide. If you don't have that guide on this trip down here, then you're going to be lost. You're going to wander off in a path and get ate up. That's why Yahawashi is known as the good shepherd. All right? So, I'm hoping everybody's understanding what we're relaying. Through evidence, the Atlantic Ocean is a brand new ocean. Every other ocean is whatever, it's been there. But the Atlantic Ocean is a newer ocean. Because when the continents separated, this ocean was created. Okay? So let's get it going.
Exactly as the Bible suggests. As this newly emerging volcanic floor spreads, it subducts under the west coast of North America, binding and releasing, causing massive tsunamis, carrying mud mixed with sea creatures, totally overwhelming the land. As what's known as the conjugate Shatsky rise pushes up during the subduction, the Rocky Mountains also began to form, along with the Independence Dyke Storm, a 400-mile-long volcanic region that billows ash that covers half of America. As the western interior seaway emerges during this time, the last of the dinosaurs are flooded, mixed together with sea life, and are buried in mud, sand, and ash in the middle of America. As we near the end of the flood, activity begins to cease, as the seafloor stops spreading and begins to cool. As the new massive ocean floors cool and retract, the waters reverse back down into the new ocean basins and recede as much as a mile. All over the earth, trillions of fossils are left behind as incredible evidence of the worldwide catastrophic flood.
Booyah. That's perfect, man. All right. So the dinosaurs were traveling and trying to get to high ground, but that was not going to work. Okay. The Most High did not allow for that to happen. All right. So you'll see, look it up. Most dinosaur bones are found in the Badlands and deserts of North America, China, and Argentina. These regions are rich in fossils because the dry, exposed rock formations made it easier for paleontologists to find and excavate the remains. Okay? So, said this a couple lives ago, specifically the United States and Canada have yielded a vast number of fossils. As you can see, this is what took place because the waters were coming and, hitting these coastal areas. So this is where these things would be, like these certain deserts were created due to the floods. All right? Certain deserts such as the Mojave Desert, the Sahara Desert, right? A lot of these things were created during the flood. If something was created because of Yahawah, we would, like, meaning like a chariot, we would know, such as Sodom and Gomorrah, right? We understand, and it's brimstone residue there. It's residue that laser weapons were used. Spiritual weapons were used. All right, that's a whole nother lesson to go into. Sodom and Gomorrah and the evidence to prove that that did take place. Once we go into it, bro, it's like Esau can't refute the evidence that's down there on the ground floor. You cannot lie to the people no more, man. You can't say the earth was created billions and billions. No, you can't. Okay? You can't. Right? So let's let it go. Let's let it go.
Evolutionists claim that the Earth is millions of years old, and one of their so-called proofs are stratified rock layers found within the geologic column. Evolutionists teach that each layer represents millions of years of rock formation.
And they just made that shit up out the side of their neck, man. Okay, oh, well, yeah, this is 1,000,000 and something years old. This is 1,000,000 years. How do you know that, Esau? Where did you get that from? Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth.
Based upon their uniformitarian view that says you can make assumptions about the past based upon processes today. But in doing so, you're assuming that there were no catastrophic events like a global flood. Evolutionists.
Hey, Shalawam, Zaquan, Yahawah, Bahasham,
Shalawam. Yeah, how about your Shabbat? I gotta say one thing. The reason why Esau do that millions and millions of years to hide the fact that he's Esau. That's why I do that millions and millions of years and all that stuff. But he keep messing up. See, the Most High put the spirit on him to say he come from the caves. Psalm 4 and 8. His tongue fall upon itself. Right? You go ahead, up.
And yeah, carbon dating has been debunked, and that we about to debunk it right here.
Yep. Ignore the flood evidence contained within these rock layers, like sea creatures mixed together with land creatures. Just ask any coal miner anywhere on Earth they find countless sea creatures embedded in the rock. You see, the Bible refutes evolution theory, stating that it has only been roughly 6,000 years since the beginning of creation, giving the true account of how the sedimentary layers formed as sedimentary rock.
What'd you say, Zaquan? Go ahead.
It ain't been no 6,000 years. It took 7,000 years to create. The Earth been around approximately like 12 to 15,000 years. I just want to clear with that lie Esau told.
Kanye, I brought that out earlier, 2nd Esdras 14:11, about the 12 parts.
Mm-hmm. Good. Shalawam to Zod. Go ahead.
Rock that is formed in water, which is also incredible testimony of a worldwide flood, given that the Earth's surface is made up mostly of water-formed sedimentary rock layers. The fact that the layers were actually formed in water also explains why there is no erosion found in between the layers, as there would be if the layers took millions of years to form. Then there's the issue of bended and folded rock, which could only occur if the layers were pliable and soft at the time of the bending, which is exactly what a global flood would cause. The bent layers also prove that their formation was rapid, with multiple layers forming rapidly on top of each other, because the bottom layers would still have to be saturated with water and didn't have enough time to dry out. As forces acted upon the layers, they bent in unison from top to bottom. Claiming these layers folded together over millions of years while still forming cannot explain what geologists are observing. Only underwater rapid burial could explain these phenomena.
Woo! Did we hear that? Only underwater rapid burial. So only the flood story could explain why you have sea creatures mixed in with land creatures in the sediments of these rocks that they're seeing when they're digging up these these coal mines. That's the only thing that could explain these things, because last time I checked, a fish does not dwell with a dinosaur. So why are you finding so many dinosaur bones with sea creatures?
Also, fish don't dwell in mountains either.
Fish don't dwell in mountains. Right? So let's keep it going.
That sedimentary rock layers, of which these are formed in water in the first place. To further prove that these rock layers were formed quickly and in the flood is the fact that in countless places around the world we find polystrate trees. Poly meaning many, and straight referring to the multiple layers that these trees are running through. If you understand anything about how organic matter decomposes, you'll know that it's impossible for trees to remain intact for millions of years while layers of dirt and debris slowly pile around them, and rain and moisture rot the wood out. Instead, what the evidence shows is that trees were swept up in the flood and carried off, and as they became more waterlogged, they sank. Some trees would sink uniformly, while other trees contained more water saturation in what was left of their bottom roots. These trees would be bottom heavy and float down to the floor, but rest upright. Tsunami waves would carry in sediments that would bury the trees quickly in multiple layers. In fact, geologists discovered that the same sand from the eastern side of America had been carried in tsunami waves all the way to the west side of the continent. This explains how the rock layers contain fossils of sea creatures mixed in with land plants. And it also explains why the trees are missing their root systems, and most importantly, why the trees are found running straight through multiple rock layers that evolutionists are claiming are millions of years old. Let's also not forget that some of these layers are the size of continents, indicating that these trees and rocks were laid down in a single and catastrophic event, and not local floods at different times. Today, we assume that fossils are a normal part of the cycle of life, since we see so many of them all over the world. Yet, fossilization is not what we observe at all when something dies today. Thankfully, dead matter does not fossilize today under normal conditions, but instead, God made dead matter to break down and return to the earth. The fact that we see so many fossils indicates that there was a worldwide event that caused mass fossilization of all life on Earth at one point in time. Think about it. If the Earth today is covered 71% in water, water-formed sedimentary rock layers made up most of the rock on Earth. Inside those rock layers are sea creatures mixed in with land creatures. Some of these sedimentary layers span entire continents, meaning they were formed all together in one event. Multiple layers are bent and folded together, proving rapid burial events created them. We find trees spanning through multiple layers of rock, and all over the globe we find massive areas of erosion, such as great canyons carved out. It is obvious that God...
What's one of those great canyons? To the comment board. What's one of those great canyons that was created by the flood? If y'all really paying attention, what was one of those great canyons created by the flood? This should be an easy question. Yep, Dev got it. The Grand Canyon. All right. So these things, man, you know, it's simple. You got it, Zaquan. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, Khan. That's all I had, really. We gonna keep it going. You got something you talk? Khan.
Left all of this evidence behind as a testimony to the biblical flood. In the 1980s, secular scientists began to theorize that it was an asteroid that crashed into the Earth and wiped out nearly all of life on its surface. The theory posits that massive tsunamis and volcanic dust-filled air as a result of the impact are what destroyed the dinosaurs and most other life in a worldwide disaster. Secular scientists could not escape the fact that water and volcanism played a massive role in how life was once wiped out on Earth. But the Bible had already written that the Earth had been catastrophically destroyed through volcanism and water, and they didn't want to validate the Bible. So they came up with their own catastrophic version of events, i.e., the asteroid impact theory. You see, the Bible's book of Genesis had already made clear what happened in the past in detail, describing volcanic activity bursting open from the ocean floors.
Boom. And we got to go into that word, volcanism. Okay? Volcanism, also known as volcanism, is the geological process of molten rock, gas, and steam erupting from the Earth's interior to its surface, creating landforms like volcanoes, geysers, and fumaroles. It shapes the Earth's landscape, can create fertile soils and geothermal energy resources, and also presents hazards like ashfall and lava flows. Now, as we read in Genesis, the 7th chapter, which let's go back. Okay. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day, were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. So these fountains of the great deep brought up lava. Okay. So that's what? That's volcanism, which would help to separate these land masses, to separate Pangea. And this is how America would get over here, South America would get over there, you know, Europe and all that would go over there, etc., through volcanism. So Esau tried to use it, saying that a meteor made all that happen, which is incorrect. When the flood is the perfect example, the perfect, and the evidence points directly to the flood. It doesn't point to no meteor doing everything that we see right now, man. All right, so you've been caught in a lie, red-handed. Hey, that's fitting for him.
Chronicling when the volcanic activity began and ceased, how long the rain poured, how high the waters reached, as well as giving the very reason why God judged and destroyed the world with the flood in the first place. You are essentially given two choices today. On the one hand, you have a book written thousands of years ago giving an amazingly detailed account of a worldwide flood that wiped out virtually all life on Earth. On the other hand, you have man-made theories, in this case, one that was only first postulated about 40 years ago due to the inadequacy of their prior non-catastrophic models that they know really didn't work. Both views require a catastrophic event with global implications, but only one has the power to actually explain the stratification of the Earth's surface and the trillions of fossils, along with cultures around the world citing a global flood in their historical writings and legends, while the other merely rearranges elements from the true account to concoct its own story. Think about it. The Bible already said long ago that the entire world's surface was destroyed catastrophically. They have no choice but to make that same claim. The Bible said that the continents were once together in the beginning. It looks like they have to share that too. Nearly all animal life on Earth was wiped out during the destruction, a fact that they also couldn't ignore. Marine life was scattered across the world. The Bible says the waters went above the highest mountains. Secular scientists formulated their own theories as to how to explain the marine fossils away. The Earth.
And that would also explain with how we talked about, a couple lives ago, talked about Zoolandia, which is underwater, certain continents that are underwater because of certain earthquakes and stuff that would have happened, that would have took civilizations underwater. This is why you have underwater cities being discovered by Esau. All right. He doesn't want to, talk about these things. Right. Now, something else that he said that really stood out is why so many civilizations have a flood story. Let's read about it. Hundreds of cultures across the globe, including ancient civilizations from so-called Middle East to indigenous groups in the Americas and Oceania, have flood myths. These stories share common themes such as a great flood sent by, the Most High to destroy a wicked world and a favorite family saved in a boat. Oh, what was that family? That was the family of Noah. All right. Though details vary significantly from one tradition to another. That's that what's that the telephone thing where you say something and it gets miscrewed over time. Now you would have this story passed down from Noah and his sons that lived through it. They would pass it down verbally to their kids and to their kids and to their kids, et cetera, et cetera. So it would get twisted around, going from people to people to people. But that's why we have Moses that was given the ability and was given the understanding to write it down and documented it in the Bible. All right. You have Peter wrote it down, Ezra wrote it down. You have it written down multiple times, man. Over and over. Recite it. All right. Repetition is a mastery trait. So most definitely the scriptures is the correct and the proper depiction of what took place. All right. I'm not I'm not going to no Epic of Gilgamesh, or I'm not going to no, all them other guys and boom, boom, boom. The Anunnaki brought the flood and all that type of stuff. No, man. We have the 100% truth. We have the proper understanding of what took place. All right. These other civilizations do not have it. They are not the chosen nations. They're trying to set themselves up to be in that position and make themselves feel special, but they're not those people. All right. Let's wrap this up.
The original environment was permanently destroyed. The pre-flood paradise was gone. In the secular model, they refer to this as the prehistoric world going extinct. And let's not forget that the flood set the processes into motion for much of the world to be frozen over. Hot oceans produce evaporations and greater snowfall. Volcanoes send volumes of aerosols into the atmosphere, blocking the sun. Greater snowfall with cooler summers results in global ice sheets. Evolutionists have called these results of the flood the Ice Age. One of these is constantly being proven true as more and more evidence is discovered over time, while the other was only invented after the evidence was unearthed. And further still, contained within the Bible, is also the prediction that all of this would happen. In the second book of Peter, we are told that in the last days, which is the time fast approaching, unbelievers would be willingly ignorant of the flood, meaning that secular men and women would consciously choose to believe and create lies that allow them to push the catastrophic event into the distant past, so long ago and so far away it ceases to be scientific history and becomes scientific fantasy. The irony can only be described as biblical. The Bible makes it clear that the end times would be characterized by increasing unbelief of the biblical account of history and the flood event itself. Sadly, the religion of evolution is one in which its priests are constantly updating their outdated theories, while in the Bible, we are given the final, true, and unchanging account.
With that being said, let's get 2 Timothy 4:3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, which is the scriptures, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, which would be Esau, false prophets, false messiahs, anti-Hamashiach, etc., that is bringing you pseudoscience and different beliefs, speaking of their own lust and telling you something that's contrary to the scriptures, man. So if you're an individual out there, you're believing everything that Esau taught you in his school system, you are incorrect. You are improper. 1 Corinthians 1:25 coming from the brother Tassad, because the foolishness of power is wiser than men, and the weakness of power is stronger than men. Okay. So understanding that, hey, we and us being, created in the image, having that understanding, having that wisdom, on our bad day, we're far better than Esau on his best day. With that being said, right? Because we have the truth. We have the proper understanding, So stop falling to whatever Esau is giving you If he's lied about dinosaurs, he's lied about the earth being created in a Big Bang theory, what else do you think he's lied about? Everything. Every single thing. His entire society is set up upon lies. Every single thing, man, is set up upon lies. Let's keep it going, because how much is left? It's about 20 minutes left, but I ain't gonna get all of this, but I want to get some more of it.
And as the evidence is unearthed over time, the biblical account is always proven to be true. In 1993, a film titled Jurassic Park featured a rather famous scene in which the remains of an ancient mosquito were preserved, encased in a ball of hardened amber. The film goes on to explain that the way scientists could resurrect dinosaurs from the past was by extracting blood from the remains inside this mosquito, in which dinosaur DNA could be fully sequenced, by combining what was missing with that of a modern-day frog. This idea came about because back in the 90s, the writer Michael Crichton was struggling to come up with a concept to explain how dinosaurs could somehow be brought back to life in a feasible way in his book of the same title. What the Jurassic Park creators couldn't have imagined was the discovery of soft tissue inside of a dinosaur bone. A finding that has since been replicated by other scientists, such as this stretching Triceratops tissue, discovered by Mark Armitage. These discoveries shocked the entire paleontological community and would likely have rewritten the original Jurassic Park film had they known this was possible at the time. In fact, scientists have run into major challenges when attempting to publish these findings because of the wholesale rejection that dinosaur soft tissue could even still exist. The consensus at the time agreed that it was completely impossible because everyone held to the widespread belief that the bones were millions of years old, which would require that all of their biomaterial had long since fossilized. There was simply no way that these dinosaur bones contained biomaterial like blood vessels and proteins such as collagen. In fact, of these 16 types of bioorganic materials that have since been discovered inside dinosaur bones, collagen by itself ends the debate on these bones being millions of years old, as the maximum age of collagen is as low as 10,000 years by some estimates and as high as 900,000 years by others, with 100,000 years being the generally agreed upon maximum age. To put this into perspective, if each of these tiny bars represents a period of 100,000 years, then only one of these bars represents the maximum age collagen could survive over time. If we zoom out to the time span of 100 million years, then we can see that the lifespan of collagen is 1,000 times shorter than the general age evolutionists claim dinosaur bones are. Or another way to say it is that collagen doesn't even last 0.001% as long as it would have to in order for evolution theory to work, proving that it's not even remotely within the realm of possibility that collagen could survive for so long. The relatively short shelf life of collagen proves what the Bible has been saying about these bones all along, that they're roughly 4,400 years old and were buried all over the world around the time of Noah's flood.
Oh yeah, perfect. Hey, now let's hear some scriptures. Job 40:15. Behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones like the bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of power. He that made him can make his sword and approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees, in the covert of the reeds and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasteth not. He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes. His nose pierceth through snares. Now, this behemoth is speaking about the dinosaurs, man. All right. At the end of the day, let's get some other scriptures to prove it. 2 Esdras 6:49. Then didst thou ordain two living creatures. The one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan. And didst separate the one from the other for the seventh part, namely, where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest one part which was dried up the third day. Now what part is that? That's the land. That he should dwell in the same part, wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the seventh part, namely the moist, that's the waters, and have kept him to be devoured of whom thou wilt, and when. Upon the sixth day thou gavest commandment unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creeping things. Now, the separation is that Enoch, which is also the behemoth, and Leviathan are the chief creatures that Yahawah has created. These are, exemplified as like his greatest creations of beasts. Leviathan is who can mess with Leviathan? As many scriptures say, we could get them, but just for time's sake, just to let you know that Leviathan is that ultimate type of sea creature, that ultimate type of weapon, breathing fire, a Godzilla, how Esau depicts him, and Behemoth would be, as Jurassic Park predicts and shows them, to be the dinosaurs, such as the long neck, these type of creatures. Tail like a cedar. A cedar is a tree, so his tail is super long. This is a massive type of creature. All right, a massive type of creature, man. It's a beautiful thing. Brother got a precept, Romans 1:20, and I'll get it. Romans 1:20 and 21. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew power, they glorified him not as power, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. And that's more so speaking about mankind, the man, because animals, they understanding Leviathan is that these animals are still in their state of doing what they're supposed to do. They're not gonna go off in that sense, right? All right, because verse 22, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible power unto an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore power also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Right? So you ain't gonna never find no animal making like a false idol or nothing like that. That's wild. All right, so let's keep it going. Salaki.
As the flood waters began to recede, the earth was in a state of chaos. Dinosaur graveyards like these would later be found all over the earth, and secular paleontologists agree that these worldwide sites share one thing in common. The state the bones are found in all show evidence of flood burial. And now you understand exactly where the water came from. Water that would eventually dry up because it didn't belong there in the first place. The hope.
You got to ask yourself that question, right? the fountains of the deep opened up and brought up water. So it's water below, and the windows of the heaven brought down water. So it's water above. Now, where can you find that at? Let's go all the way back to Genesis. All right. In the beginning, Halalyam created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the spirit of power moved upon the face of the waters. And Halalyam said, let there be light, and there was light. And Halalyam saw the light, that it was good. And Halalyam divided the light from the darkness. And Halalyam called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And Halalyam said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. All right. Now that would be what you would know as the atmosphere, the ozone layer. Okay. At the end of the day. So that would be the firmament, the ozone layer. And Halalyam made the firmament and divided the waters that are above, right? He divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And Halalyam called the firmament heaven. That's what you see now as the sky. All right, that is a heaven. That's not speaking about the heaven where the Most High dwells, the spiritual realm, but it's speaking about just the heaven that you see up in the sky. Okay. Yeah, Khan Dev, that's a good depiction. Okay, the movie Meg 1 and 2 shows that it's you can go deeper into the ocean, you know, and they've literally found lakes in the ocean. Actually, the individual that found that lake in the ocean and he reported it out, he was actually unalived. Okay, I guess he shouldn't have reported that. Right? If anybody know what I'm talking about, he was unalived because he was showing that it's like a layer of the ocean that you can actually go deeper into. But that's showcasing that it's waters below, deeper. All right. So keeping it going. Where's we at? Salakia. Verse 8. And Halalyam called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And Halalyam said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Now, that would be the creation of the oceans. Okay? Before it was land, it was just simply water under the sky. Okay? It was just simply water under the sky. All right? Yeah, kind of perfect, Nakov. So, it would just be simply water under the sky. Now, he put all the waters in one place, and the dry land appeared. Now, what is that dry land? That's earth. That is the earth. That is the dry part. And Halalyam called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. The oceans, the sea. And Halalyam saw that it was good. And Halalyam said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. Who seeded? All right, so we pretty much at the part, you know, that's good. So this earth was all brought together in one. That's what you would know as Pangea, as one earth, all together. It would not be separated how it is now. The entire puzzle piece would be put together. Pangea. All right, as we've seen multiple times throughout this video. Okay. So this is something that, as a matter of fact, let's pull up a map of it. All right, Pangea. As you can see. Now, what actually happened after the flood? A similar, not a long, but a small little ice age, right? And Antarctica would be moved towards the bottom. All right, during the flood. Antarctica would be moved down towards the bottom. Okay, Australia would be moved over here, but it would be okay. But Antarctica got pushed so down that it stayed in a constant state of being frozen when it used to be a massive landmass. That's why somebody made a joke the other day talking about you banned to Antarctica with Urania. I'm like, hey, Antarctica gonna be fire, man. When it unfreeze, when it thaw out. I'm going to love it. You know, so Antarctica is a massive landmass that, you know, will be enjoyed, okay, in the times to come. All right, so let's get back to the video.
Earth would undergo a massive reset as vegetation would slowly grow back and water would find its final resting places. Sadly, the earth that
Zakia, to bring all that out, was basically stating that the waters that had came during the flood would go back to where they came from. How do waters go back into the heavens? They would evaporate and go back up. And the waters that came from the deep, they would basically go back into the deep, go back into the ocean, all right, or go back into the floor, okay?
once a perfect habitat for dinosaurs was now irrevocably ruined, and those dinosaurs that were able to survive would be hunted to extinction over time. We know them as dinosaurs, but legend would remember them as dragons. And so it was that on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat. It was a little over a year after the flood began that
So where's the boat? Where's the ark? The mountain of Ararat. And where's that at? That's in Turkey. That is in Turkey. Okay? So that would be something that brothers could, maybe do some research, look that up, all right, and discover that. Okay? It's heavily documented. You know, that's easy to look up, easy to discover that they found the ark and they've done one of those, what do you call it? Like they got that technology to they can look in the earth and they can see that it is hollow inside and it fits the measurements of the boat. So why would you think that this would be suppressed to the world? You know? All right. Nah, it's not sealed off. Archaeologists, Lydia scanning. Archaeologists, I can't even talk today. But you got it, Zaquan. I can't talk right now.
Archaeologically, it's it's not sealed up. I seen the ark long time ago on A&E channel, cable channel.
Yep.
And,
me too.
Yeah, and they showed somebody went in and you could see the wood and stuff. They took it from top view and stuff. Cause I think that snow had melted, and they showed that beam. The guy was next to basically on top of the ark with the beams and stuff showing and stuff, man. So it's real. You go ahead out.
Yeah, Yep, Mount Ararat. So yeah, brothers can look into that, you know, do some research into that, be diligent and find it out, man. It's there. And you would think if these individuals are truly about Yahawah, they truly worship the power and all of that, that they would, hey, we found the ark. But no, it's not mentioned. It's not told to the world. You got it?
Yeah. It was a show hosted by, what's the guy that plays Spock in Star Trek?
William Shatner, I believe.
No. He played Dr. Spock. I think his name Nimoy, something like that. He hosts. It's an old show called A&E and stuff. Yeah. Leonard Nimoy. Yeah, that's him. Yep, that's who hosted that show. Cause that show was old too. I remember seeing that episode too. The Ark of Covenant. I mean, not the Ark of Covenant, the Noah's Ark and stuff. Yeah. And they showed the beams and stuff. They showed everything and stuff. It had melted up there. The guy went over there and stuff. You go ahead, up.
So yeah, you know, and that shows you. So Mount Ararat, and then from there you would have Japheth would take the northern land. You would have Ham would take the southern land, but Ham wouldn't just automatically go to Africa. Okay, they would set up and they would slowly move down to Africa. This is why you would have Nimrod, who is a Hamite, would actually be set up in the so-called Middle East. All right. And you would have Shem, which would take that land, that area. So you would have Hamites dwelling in the midst of Shemites, right? This is why, hey, our land is known as what? The land of Canaan. But that's in the land of Shem. They supposed to be down in Africa, right? But that's showing you that they didn't just go directly to Africa. They dwelt around Turkey because Turkey is directly above our land. All right. So they spread out from that point. This is why most of the Japhetic tribes, such as the Greeks, all right, the Gog, the Tarshish, etc., they would dwell in what is Greece, Rome, Italy, Mediterranean Sea area, okay, Cyprus, these areas over here in Europe or in Russia, in Germany, and those type of things. Okay, so it's all going back to biblical prophecy. Everything leads back to prophecy. Esau has been lying to you. All right, let's keep it going.
But his family and all on board the ark would finally step onto dry land again. This group of 8 people would repopulate the earth, just as legends around the world cite in their historical literature. And science would later prove that this genetic bottleneck really did occur, exactly as the Bible had told us all along. As what was now left of the ark rested in the mountains of Ararat, God made a covenant with Noah, promising him and all of his posterity that he would never.
What is okay? Comment board. How was that covenant made? What signified the covenant that the earth would never be flooded again? Easy question. What signified that the earth would never be flooded again? Kakama, you can't answer, bro. Nakaf, why? Oh man, these guys. Y'all need to go to the back of the class, man. Y'all need to go to the back of the class. Yeah, a rainbow. All right, let's go to Genesis, the 9th chapter. This is verse 12. And Power said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. So continually. So you constantly see this rainbow. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Right? Now, do we see floods in certain parts of the planet? Yeah, we see floods. Yeah. You got Spain, you got a lot of these Edomite nations, they get flooded. America, you got, we just saw Mexico get flooded, and Arizona got flooded, and Texas and all. Yeah. But a flood to destroy all flesh? No, that will not happen again. This time we know it will be by fire. The ICBM missiles, chariots, volcanoes, earthquakes, super volcanoes, this type of stuff happening, right? It's not going to be a flood this time. This time it's going to be by fire, right? So, because, what the Most High said, that's his word. He does not change. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's keep going.
Destroy the earth and all life on it with a flood. And God blessed Noah and his sons and commanded them to once again multiply and spread out upon the earth. But on the plains of Shinar, men disobeyed God's command, and instead they came together to build a city and a great tower they intended to reach to the heavens in an ultimate act of rebellion and rejection of God.
And we could pretty much end it right there. You know, going into the Tower of Babel. All right, I'm a if anybody want to watch it, all you got to do is type in stunning CGI of Noah's flood. Now keep in mind at the beginning it does go off talking about free will and Jesus and all of that. All right, so hey, that's just letting you know for newer brothers, right? You got to know how to chew the meat, spit out the bones, right? But I started it at the 12-minute part just so it would be no confusion. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Zaquan, you got something?
No, you said everything perfect, man. You know. Yeah.
Z2X. Okay, you want to know about not letting children do as they please? All right, cool. So it's a couple scriptures. Let's go get train up a child. This is Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. All right, so that's Proverbs 22:6. But it's a couple more. Let me get another one. What is that? In Sirach, a daughter, a hedge. This is Sirach 26 and 10. Or Ecclesiasticus. And this is in the Apocrypha. If thou daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Watch over an imprudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. Right? She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler. When he hath found a fountain and drink of every water near her, by every hedge, she will sit and open her quiver against every arrow. So this is basically, man, train up your daughters properly, or she's going to turn into a whore, man. You know, at the end of the day. All right. You got something, Zaquan? You got it?
No, you good.
Okay, I thought you were saying something. So, you need to raise up your kids properly in the correct way so that they can, you know, benefit you. Because your kids, your seeds, is what? They're representing your household. So they're representing your level of discipline and your order, right? You know. So, hey, that's pretty much the lesson, man. If there's any more questions, I'll take them right now. If not, then I'm going to get up out of here. I pray this was edifying. All right. Any more questions? Y'all can ask them right now. I'm going to give my salute. Facing the east, all praises be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well in sincerity, taught us his truth. Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect, as well as the 1/3, the men, women, and children. All right. As always, Kwam Yasharahla and a Baba Bar to this wicked kingdom. May Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi destroy this bitch yesterday. All right. I don't see no questions. So with that being said, Shalawam.